Hello, and here we are. How are you, Miss Nancy?
Hello, Nancy Jean. I'm so happy to be here with you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I'm so glad to bring you on. I know I was going to take this week off, but Nancy and I had scheduled this, and then it fell off my radar, and I felt like, nope. When I make a commitment to someone, I keep it, and
That's
she was willing to keep it with me. So we're here, and we're
yes.
going to talk about um, the the 20 questions of
Da, da,
psychic
da,
profiles.
da.
And so, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I've restarted the channel, and I've got a couple of fresh videos on there, and plan on, just every week. Keep
And
keep.
what is your channel?
It's Nancy Cast Tarot.
Okay, what's in front of you? If you can read the screen.
Nancy Cast Tarot. That's me.
Mhm.
Yep.
And Flower Beauty Peacock Rainbow Hi. This is going to be very confusing when you say hi, Nancy. You're going to have to say Nancy or Nancy C
Yeah.
because it's we're the same.
I go by Nancy C. That's
And I
that's
go by Nancy Jean, but and they're starting to come in. People are beginning to wake up. Oh, it's that time. And good morning, Christy Storm. Where Christy is, it's morning still.
yeah. Good.
And
It's
Dr. Gail's here,
Hello, Dr. Gail.
and Linda Kelser. And I don't usually read names, but I'm trying to do that to give us something to do till we start into the questions. Because once we get in the questions, I just kind of get lost in that.
Yes.
And
All right.
it's interesting to see. If you live in Texas, this is my only political announcement. If you live in Texas, there's 17 constitutional amendments. Many of them are things that want to take away your constitutional rights, or they're stupid. They say things like it requires you have to be a U.S. citizen to vote in the state of Texas. That was always the truth anyway. So I don't know why they're putting it in paper, but I do live in that strange state. So what we're going to do is we're going to start now, and if you catch us later, you just have to go backwards. Nancy has reestablished her um, channel, and she is available at Nancy Cast Tarot Gmail. And there's two T's in there. Notice there's two T's in there,
That's right. Cast Tarot. Hmm.
and she's trying to. So you can be one of those original people that says, "I was there when."
I was there when. I've been at this a long time.
I know. I mean, when we've
I'm
been
old.
at it,
Nancy, we were born in the first half of the last century.
I know.
Wrap your head around that.
Oh, I know. I know. We're you can tell by the name Nancy. We're in that generation of women. All of them. Everybody says, "Oh, my grandmother's name is Nancy," and I said, "I have no doubt that's true because
Right.
there was that period. It's not a name anybody names a kid anymore. Hardly. I guess there may be a few out there, but let's get to psychic profiling.
All right.
When did you realize you might have psychic abilities?
It crept up on me. It didn't hit me over the head. I wasn't struck by lightning or anything like that. It crept up on me. Synchronicities, and then something would happen, and I would say, "Oh, I knew that. I knew. How do?" And I would say, "How do I know this? How do I
Mm-hmm.
know this? Why is this in my head?" So it kind of really crept up on me, and it didn't start creeping up on me until I was an adult. I didn't have this as, at least I wasn't aware of it as a younger person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm much more aware of it. I got married young. I was 21 years old when I got married, so I was practically a child anyway. But when I was out of my crazy Italian family and living on my own, maybe things cleared for me a little bit, and I started. That's when I started to really, you know, uh, start paying attention to what was
Mm-hmm.
going on around me.
Very good. And so there wasn't a single aha moment. It just kind of built up gradually over time.
It built up gradually over time.
Do you remember the first experience that you said, "Oh, I really know this"?
Um, I've had I've had a lot of crazy experiences. I'll just give one little story. I was living in Arizona, and I was going back to New York for Easter for the long weekend, and um, my flight was taking off. I don't know. It was like 5:30 in the afternoon, and I was supposed to meet a friend of mine at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is before cell phones, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm driving through Scottsdale to get to the airport, and there's traffic, and I had to park the car and leave it at the airport, and then take the tram to go to my gate, and I was watching the clock, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, it's getting late. I have to meet Suzanne, and a voice very very distinctly in my head said, "Turn around and look at your ticket," and I went, "Who said that?" So I
Mm-hmm.
stopped the car. I went into my little bag and I looked at my ticket, and it said my flight was at 3:30, not 5:30. And now it was about 20 minutes to 3. And I said, "Oh my God, please delay the flight. Please delay the flight. Please delay the flight." And I was driving through Scottsdale like a maniac. I got the car parked. I got to my gate and everything. I look up, to see what gate number I should be at, and it said it's blinking, flight delayed, flight delayed, flight delayed, and I went,
Yes.
said, "The angels did this. This was not me," and I got goosebumps now just telling this story. Things like that started to happen continually,
Hmm.
continually, and that's when I really started to believe that there was something beyond that
Right.
was, you know, working with us.
What happened around you with people when you started sharing your experiences?
Oh my God. I was the Fruit Loop of the family. It's like, there she goes again, her crazy ideas. And, you know, I learned to just temper it down a little bit because I was grossly criticized by my family. My mother was a devout Catholic, and then she was born again, and my brother was born again, and
Oh God. Ooh,
yeah.
that's the worst of all combinations.
Oh, please. So yeah. I mean, it was rough. So I kept it to myself.
Okay.
And
Did you seek out training or did you just kind of let it blossom?
I'm a Gemini. I'm a lifelong learner. I want to say
Hmm.
I have done. Oh my gosh, the meditation classes, Reiki, rebirthing, belly dancing. Does that count?
Yeah. Oh, that's so sacral and root chakra. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, yoga, and then tarot and astrology classes as well. And yeah, I did a lot of training.
Okay.
And I
What's
still do, actually. You know,
I don't think you ever stop. I mean, there's always new ways. As our perspective changes, when I'm when I do readings now, I don't think you can see this. I give out tiny little fluorite octahedrons, and
oh,
that's an eight-sided little faceted stone that's naturally faceted. And I tell them this is to remind you to look at life from all the angles.
oh, I love that.
So that's kind of what I think, and that's I got a feeling that's what you do with people. Um, are there specific tools you use now? I know you use tarot, obviously.
I use my cards, but I use my pendulum.
Aha.
This is a pretty one, but I do. I use my pendulum, and I'll use the pendulum and with my family, and they'll say, "Oh, you're moving, you're doing it, you're moving your arm." But when I use the pendulum, I kind of like put my arm
Crunch
right,
your elbow up solid against your
yeah,
body.
and I just and I go at it. It took me a long time for the pendulum to start responding to me. I don't know why. Oh no, I do know why. It was because I was dispensing belief. I wasn't believing
Mm-hmm.
that it really could answer my questions. And once I let go and I start to really believe in this silly little thing, It talks to me all the time. So I love it.
Well, the other thing I used to have a couple spare pendulums on my table when I read. And
Yeah.
I'd say, okay, if you think, have you ever tried a pendulum? And they'd say no. So I showed them how to put their elbow down and how, hold it over. And then I'd say, okay, which way for her means yes. And they'd be looking at, she said, I'm not moving anything, but it's moving.
Right.
I
And,
said, now ask it which way for you is no and which way is maybe. And they kind of go, and they go, well, what is that? And I said, that's the same energy that moves my cards.
yeah, and that's inside of you. That's coming through you. Right.
Right. And it's just, you have to learn to trust. And I think that's our, the biggest lesson in our generation was to learn to trust anything.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
And now we're getting a bonus lesson in how to ignore to trust.
It's the bonus lesson is called discernment.
I know.
Yes, that's the bonus.
It's, and do you have mentors and teachers?
Yes, mentors and teachers. I've had uh, my wonderful friend Sarah in Arizona, who is now, up in heaven uh, for tarot and astrology. Uh, Another gentleman in Arizona named Louis Russo. He was funny. He used to say yes to everything. Say yes to everything. And now I say, I
Mm-hmm.
could say that, but use discernment,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, some other tarot teachers, astrology, Barbara Lynn in Nyack, New York. Yeah, I've had teachers. And most recently, Nancy Jean and Jeffrey Goldstein in
Oh,
teaching.
that pair.
Yeah, teaching tarot. I took a wonderful class with Nancy Jean and Jeffrey, and I got to tell you, I've been reading cards for a long time. But when you get with a group of people and you get with people as good as Nancy and Jeffrey, you see things from a different perspective. It just adds an extra layer of validity to the card. So that was really a great class, and I'm still reading with those ladies on Thursday nights.
Good. Well,
So yes,
yeah, and we're two profoundly different readers, Jeffrey and I. Let me tell you.
absolutely, absolutely, and that's what gives it such a great perspective. So you get all the bases covered. It's great.
Okay, we have a question. Someone's popped up with a question in the chat. Cinderella, we don't take questions during psychic profiles. This is about the person to learn and about all of the readers and intuits and other people who've come forward to learn who they are. So I'm sorry, we just don't take questions during psychic profiles. But I'll be on again next Tuesday. And if you're in the Dallas area, I'll be reading cards live at Dolly Python's on Haskell Avenue tomorrow and Saturday from 11 to 5. So you can come see the real me. Okay. Um, so, what's the best piece of advice a mentor ever gave you?
Keep your mind open. Keep your mind open.
And that's hard sometimes because,
It's very hard because we have our own culture and our own upbringing, and we're society is bombarding us with all kinds of stuff. It's really hard to say, wait a minute, let me think about this.
mm-hmm.
Could that be true?
But you're
Or
a Gemini. Geminis think a lot of stuff. I'm a Taurus, man. It's my mind. I've closed it. Try to get in.
yeah, no, I'm very open minded, but that was really
Okay.
guys.
And how did you learn to tell the difference between psychic impressions and your own imagination?
That's a really good question, and this takes time and it takes practice. Now, for me, and not only when I read the cards, but sometimes I'll just get psychic impressions. I'm sitting with somebody driving in the car, listening to some music, and before you know it, it's like there's somebody else in the car. Who could this be? Wait, some music comes on, and then my friend says, "Oh, my dad used to love that song," and I'm like, "He's here. I feel him." the goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
I get a physical reaction in my body. And I got to say, Nancy, I am not a crier. I'm a pretty tough old bird. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
a crier, but sometimes these impressions that I get, they just make me so emotional that I know that I'm hitting something that's beyond me. So it's the physical reaction in my body that lets me know that this is real. I'm not making this up. This is not my imagination.
Yeah, makes total sense to me. And were there moments when you really doubted yourself? Like, should I even do this or mess with this? Or,
Well, yeah, when you have your family telling you you're gonna go to the devil, and those tarot cards are the work of the devil, and you say to yourself, why? Why can't they just let me be with my cards? Um, yeah, and I'm also an avid rock collector. I've been collecting gems and minerals and rocks since fourth grade, and
mm-hmm.
then they always poo-pooed my rocks and everything. Yeah, no, I had a lot of family. I had a lot of family criticisms, and that's always been hard. That's always been hard.
Yeah, it's hard when it's somebody close to you because why couldn't they just give you the space to be you? But
Right,
that's not how family systems work a lot.
right. And what I learned also then was I started to realize that you have to know your audience. I worked in corporate America. I wasn't having mandalas and drink catches hanging all over my office.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I kept it on the down low, when I was away from my peer group, my,
Mm-hmm.
my spiritual family.
Yeah, I had a woman who went to work in a really nasty company. I mean, they do a great thing, but they're a nasty company. And so I gave her, I figured out some stones for her to put in her office, and she would be saying the violet flame from her car into
Mhm.
her part of the building. And eventually, she told me 6 months later, people were coming to her all the time and saying, uh, you know, I come in here because it's so peaceful. It's so, and she said, it's literally the difference between being stuck in a static electricity mill
Mhm.
and being in a place that's calm and soothing and nothing's being abrasive on you. And she said, if nothing else convinced her about the stuff I talk about.
That happened to me once when I was a patient in a hospital. The nurse came in and she said to me, "Do you mind if I just sit here in the dark with you for a few minutes?" She said, I just need a quiet, calm place to be. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, "No, let's draw the curtain. And as far as I'm concerned, we're having a consultation." And
Mm-hmm.
she sat there for 10 minutes. She just closed her eyes, put her head back, and sat there for 10 minutes. And I felt so good that I was able to give her that 10 minutes of calm in a very hectic
And they
environment.
need it.
Yeah, they do. They
It's
really do.
crazy out there.
Yeah.
Um, have your ability, okay, we've done that. How do you protect your own energy?
Um, I do. I do my prayers before I use the pendulum. I have a specific prayer that I do, and before I do my reading, I do my a little breathing. Nothing that's gonna scare people out of the room, but I'll do a few little breathing, and I'll say a little prayer of protection, and I do that you know before I do any divination, any reading, or any just a simple prayer, to
Mm-hmm.
connect to and to just ask for clear, concise messages of integrity, and that seems to be enough.
Okay, do you have any go-to rituals if you feel like you maybe have pulled in something you didn't mean to or didn't
No,
want around you?
no, no. I think my energy is pretty clear,
Good.
and if I do suspect that things are getting a little dicey, Archangel Michael, where are you? I need you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a big go-to guy. He's a big guy with the big blade.
He's the guy with the big sword. Mm. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think psychic abilities are innate in everyone, or or can anyone develop them?
I think they are innate. I think we're all born psychic. We all come from spirit. We're coming from the same pool, right? The same
Mm-hmm.
ocean, the same gene pool, the same consciousness. So we're all born psychic. But it's kind of like that thing of anybody can boil water, but not everybody can be a chef. It
Mm-hmm.
depends on whether or not you care to become psychic, whether or not you believe you can, whether or not you're interested in it. You might not be interested in becoming psychic, and therefore your abilities are going to lay dormant. But if you have an inkling towards that, just like picking up a recipe book and really learning how to hone your cooking skills, there are ways for you to hone that psychic ability. More so now with YouTube and the internet than ever before.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
don't have to read the 800 books or whatever. And there weren't even 800 books. There were like five.
yeah. I was going to say there were 8 books, not 800.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what should someone do if they think they might be gifted? If they've noticed that they're gifted,
If
what
they
would be your advice to them?
if they notice they're gifted and it's something that they feel like they want to pursue, I would say um, use the resources of the internet and feel people out. Listen to a few people. There are some people that I was following, and I'm like, why am I following this person?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a matter of it's a matter of you're engaging with the other person, whether or not you have a connection. If you feel that the other person is speaking truth or giving you information that's pertinent to you, then go for it. And if you're skeptical and you think, I'm not so sure about that, or I don't like the sound of their voice, I just
Mm-hmm.
don't like the sound of their voice, then find somebody else. But there are so many people. There are so many people online now, and with Nancy Jean, with the series that you're doing, you're bringing more people to the forefront. And there's Alex Fieri, and what is his? See, I'm having a senior moment. What is his YouTube podcast, Alex Fieri? Because he brings on all the important people. Um,
Next level soul.
Next Level Soul. Yeah, I would listen to Alex and Next Level Soul. He gives you a taste
Mm-hmm.
of all the different speakers, whether they're mediums, they're psychics, they're clairvoyants, whoever they are. He gives you a taste, and you can listen to these people and say, "Wow, that's somebody I want to follow," or "That's somebody that, might have some information for me." Um, but that's what I would do. I'm a Gemini. I dabble. I
Right.
dabble. And when I grab onto something, it's like, okay, I I've done my dabbling. Now I could focus.
Right. Right. And has your work changed your worldwide view or beliefs about life and death?
Oh, absolutely. Um, yeah, I think the most important thing is understanding. This is for me the most important thing is understanding that I am not a human being. I am a spiritual being having a spiritual experience in human form. This human form that we're in, the human form is going to go to dust. We're going to drop it and we're going to go back to spirit. We're all going back home. We're all
Mm-hmm.
going back home. Some of us might be going to the basement. Some of us will be going in on the ground floor. Very few of us are going to the penthouse, but we're all going home one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us are going to the sub basement,
Mm-hmm.
but we're all going back home to spirit. And that's one thing. And the other thing is, you're never alone. We don't come down here alone. We come down here with a cadre of help, uh, angels, ancestors, guides, higher self.
Mm-hmm.
and our highest self. So that's the other thing to know, that you really are not alone. But you have to ask for help if you need it.
Yeah, and you have to acknowledge I can't do it all on my own.
Yeah, exactly. And I've done that, like, Jesus or God, not my circus, not my monkeys. Please take this away.
Right.
You know, above my
Jesus,
pay
take the
grade.
wheel.
Yeah, above my pay grade. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, uh, Sharon's asking questions. Sharon, her YouTube channel's really new, and it's Nancy Castiglione on YouTube. Sharon's saying, desperately trying to find out what your channel is, and it's what's on the screen. Um, because I don't have a set way I make people put their names and their stuff on the screen. What's the most powerful reading you've ever done? If you can talk about it.
Uh, yeah, I have one that was impactful for the person. I was reading cards for someone that I knew, but I didn't know very well.
Mm-hmm.
See them in a really long time, and she asked me to do her cards. So I'm doing the Rider Waite deck with the um, Celtic cross spread, very
Mm-hmm.
traditional. And the first card that I throw out is the Three of Swords, the three swords in the
Through the
heart.
heart, right?
And I said, well, um, there's some matters of the heart here that either have been very, very difficult for you or will become very difficult for you. And that was the gist of the whole reading, was that. And she asked me about her love life, and we were not turning over good cards. And I said, I'm sorry to say, but I'm not getting, I'm really not getting very positive cards
Mm-hmm.
regarding that. But, just take it one day at a time and see how things come. Okay. The next time I met her, she said, oh, she told me she had a boyfriend. In the reading, she told me she had a boyfriend. She told me she broke up with her boyfriend. I said, oh my God. I said, you didn't do that because of the reading. She said, I absolutely did that because of the reading. She said, because I knew that he was not being honest with me. I knew that there was something off with him. And it turns out that he was married and he didn't tell me he was married. And
Oh, well, that's a small thing to keep under the.
yeah, she says, and when I saw that reading, she says, I knew exactly what it meant. She said, I knew exactly what I had to do. And she says, I'm free of that because of the reading that you did for me. So the cards, they could have an impact on people's lives. This is not just woo woo. It's not just entertainment. It's not just woo woo. Sometimes we really get down to the heart of the matter. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
did another reading one time for a woman who lost her mother in a tragic car accident. And I said to her, you've had a rough time, girl, over the past 3 years. And she just broke down and she said, I lost my mother 3 years ago. I'm like, okay, let's take a look at this. And I was able to give her a little piece, letting her know that her mother is not gone. Her mother is back in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
She's not gone. She's just relocated. She's relocated. She's still with you every day. And that gave her comfort. So yeah, these readings can give people comfort.
Good. And that's why that sort of gets to my next question, which is, how do you deliver sensitive and complex messages?
Um, I err on the side of gentleness, and I
Mm-hmm.
err on the side of humor. So I use humor and I use gentleness uh, with my readings and with people in general. Um, I don't, I wouldn't I wouldn't see the three of chords and swords and go, oh my God, this is terrible. You know, that's not how I read. I read with compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Read with compassion, and I try to inject some humor in as well. A good way to conduct your life in general.
Yeah, I used to always tell people, they'd say, well, what do you do if you get a really negative message? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, suppose you read my cards and you saw I was going to get hit by a bus. And I said, I tell you, when you left that reading, it was very important to look both ways,
Right, exactly.
you
Exactly.
know, because all we can see is the potential. We may see the bus heading towards you. We don't know if you get hit by it or not.
Right, exactly. We don't know if you're going to, like, step off the curb because of what there's free will. So we're not determining the future. We're just we're
Giving
not
you a
predicting.
facet, giving you
Yeah,
a facet of it. This is the angle I see it from. What angle are you going to bring in?
right, exactly.
What advice would you give someone who's starting to explore their gifts?
Be gentle with yourself. Be patient with yourself. You're going to doubt yourself, and learn to discern what's true for you. Like for me, I know when I get that welling up and I start to feel emotions, I really know that there's somebody with me. That
Mm-hmm.
you know, learn to learn to discern that for yourself, and the only way to do that is to start being more aware, being more conscious of your thoughts, being more conscious of everything around you. I'm really amazed sometimes that I'll walk into a grocery store or a theater with somebody, and people are la 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 la, and they don't even know where the exit sign is. Pay attention to your environment. There are
Mm-hmm.
signs and synchronicities. Pay attention. Open up that awareness. So that's what I would say. But be gentle. Take it slow. Uh, yeah, one day at a time.
Right. Is um, is there something you wish you'd known earlier about your gifts?
Yeah, I do. It would have maybe helped me, um, and that word discernment comes up again, but it would have made me help me realize that people, you can't take people at face value.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't. You can't always take people at face value. People don't always say what they mean and do what they say and that kind of thing. And I think it would have made me a more aware person. Just like I'm saying about awareness. I was walking around with blinders when I was young. Yeah, I would have taken the blinders off sooner.
Okay. And any daily habits or exercises you recommend?
I get up in the morning and I say my little prayer in the morning. Lord, where would you have me go? What would you have me say? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? And to whom? To let spirit know that I'm ready to work with spirit. Um, I've gotten into qigong recently, and I
Mm-hmm.
just like to get up in the morning and do a little qigong stretching, moving, flow. That kind of helps me. Um, Yoga was uh, uh, one of the gateway drugs for me in getting it through all.
Yeah, you're not alone in that.
Yeah, and I learned about the savasana and meditating after a great yoga practice and all that. So yeah, so there are things that I do. Nothing extreme, nothing extreme. Uh, I meditate. I say I meditate. Meditation has a lot of different forms, and sometimes if I'm working on a piece of artwork, or I'm peeling potatoes. I put myself in a meditative state doing that, and then I start hearing I start hearing voices, and the voices are
Mm-hmm.
telling me things, and I'm not schizophrenic.
No, and I tell people it's like all of a sudden I become aware of a story, and it's like I've read the book and I know what's going to be in the story,
Hmm.
but it's flowing out without me reading the book or
Right.
having lived the story. It's
Yeah.
just there.
Yeah. Or I'll get like an imprint. For instance, uh, I'm at the sink. I'm doing whatever I'm doing, and the voice in my head, which I've learned to discern as my higher self,
Hmm.
says to me, "There's going to be a new baby in the family next year." And I went, "Oh, my niece must be pregnant again." And a couple of weeks later, my brother said to me, Lisa's expecting again. And I said, yeah, I know. The angels already told me,
Mhm.
you know. So I pay attention to that.
Yeah. How can someone find a trustworthy psychic community or mentor?
Yeah, like I said, it's hard. You have to find somebody that you jive with, that you
Mhm.
connect with. There are people online that I don't. Then there are people online that just do politics, and I listen to some of it because I want to be informed. Um, uh, you have to. It's like trying on a pair of shoes. How do you know that those are going to be the sneakers you want or the shoes that
Mhm.
you got to try them on? You got to walk around the room a little bit and say, "Oh yeah, this is these are the ones. These are the
Mhm.
ones I want to take home and keep with me." And the other one is like, these are very uncomfortable. These are not doing it for me. So you just have to try. You just have to explore and um, and see what's available.
Right.
If you're a reader, um, I started. I don't know how I managed this, but I started with the Seth material back in the 1970s when I walked
Mhm.
into a medical physical bookstore in Arizona. And I took that book home, and it was like, you're in kindergarten, but this is PhD study. It's like, what am I reading? What is this? Uh, don't do that. Start out on a more gentle beginner level. Maybe some Louise Hay, and uh, just start out. Yeah, Hay House has some really really good authors and good books that are basic. That might be a good place to start.
Good. Oh, have there been any red flags where you've run into someone and you thought, oh, this looks good, and all of a sudden this flag goes, yoing, yoing, yoing? I have a few of those, but
Um, lately, um, it's interesting. I was following a woman from the UK for a long time, and then she did a reading on JFK Jr. She did another one on Vance, and I said to myself, this woman is not in the United States. She doesn't know what she's talking about. I don't know where she's getting her information. Ding. And I don't listen to her anymore
mhm.
because she started not to resonate with me anymore.
I think that's the biggest thing. I can meet somebody who is almost a complete unknown, or people will hire me for a reading and they'll think I've been thinking about doing this, and it's like a light or a feeling or a vibration I get from them. They ought to be out there doing it. If they have the time and the
Right.
energy, they ought
Mm-hmm.
to give themselves a shot at doing it because they have a directness. I think a lot of people, it's really easy, and Nancy knows, Nancy's done this for a long time. She's just reestablishing her channel, but she and I physically met several times, and
Mm-hmm.
um, there's a lot of stuff that you can hear from people, and she made me come out of my shell in the middle of COVID. She says, I'm coming to Dallas, you're going to go out and meet with me. And I barely met my kids. And she
Yeah.
dragged me to an arboretum that it ended up we couldn't get to because they closed the road, and then they wanted little old ladies to hike a mile.
And it was 140 degrees in the
Oh God,
shade.
yes, it was hot. It's awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, but you broke me out of my thing of I shouldn't get to know these people. And then Sheila came to
Yeah.
Dallas and from Colorado, and she said, let's get a group of people together. So the wine cellar I used to read at, they gave us one of the back rooms, and
Right.
we had about 40 people show up in 3 days. It just
Oh, that's
wanted
fast.
to. And so I kind of got past that, because when you read at a table, people come and they go, but you're not, it's a different sort of situation.
Yeah.
And
And Nancy, I've had a lot of experience with I've been to sweat. I lived in Arizona. I've been to Sweat Lodge. Um,
Texas is a giant sweat.
yeah. That's funny. Um, I sat, I've sat in circle, a medicine wheel with
Hmm.
Sun Bear. Um, drumming circles at women's gatherings. The Kripalu Center up in Massachusetts. Yeah, I've walked my talk.
Hmm.
I've lived this. I'm not just woo woo, and read a book and la 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 and swing a pendulum and there you go. I have lived this for the past since my son was a baby, 49 years. He's 49 years old.
Hmm.
This spiritual path that I'm on really took flight when he was born. I had um, an out of body experience when he was born. Uh, I won't go into it, but I knew that there was something pulling at me, something besides, the laundry and besides,
Hmm.
trimming the rose bushes, my little rose garden. There was something pulling at me. And I've been chasing it for 49 years. And I'm finally settling in, at 77 years
Hmm.
old. I can finally say, this is me. And I'm on this spiritual quest because I'm a spiritual being. And so be it. Take it or leave it.
Well,
That's the way it is.
we want to take it.
Good.
I hope they want to take it and run
Yeah,
with it
I, I,
because.
I want to share some of these experiences that I've had with other people and share some of the books that I've read with other people. And that's also the purpose of the channel. It's not just to
Hmm.
read cards. It's to talk. It's to open a dialogue about reincarnation, about the soul families and soul groups and yeah. There's a lot that I hope to bring to the channel besides just throwing down them cards because um, but the cards are, that's the meat, that's the foundation. you know Always bring it back. I always bring it back to the cards. I'm creating my own oracle deck.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I don't know when it's going to be ready, but I started and I got my 44. It's going to be 44 cards and it's going to be whimsical but thoughtful as well, just like me.
Hmm. Yeah, we don't need another one with gloom and doom on it. We've got enough of
No, no,
those.
no gloom and doom. And I like the Rider Waite tarot, and maybe a variation on the Rider Waite tarot. But all these crazy things, these crazy tarot cards, I can't, I can't matter. I can't get into them. You know, I just like I like as woo woo as I am. I like the fundamentals. I like the basics. I like the classics. I'm a
Well,
classic girl. I like the classics.
I had a boyfriend who thought he was doing me a big favor. He saw the Aleister Crowley deck and he
Oh,
thought it
good.
looked so cool. And
Oh,
if
it's cool, all right.
guys, I'll do a show one day on Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley was sort of the Jeffrey Epstein of the
Oh,
early psychic movement in the 1900s. And I'm not joking. I mean, in
yeah, I know.
more ways than you know. And
Yeah.
he created this deck. And my boyfriend was Lee. Lee was always so yeah, that's great. This is gonna be wonderful. We're gonna have such a good time. And he was a lot of fun. He was my best playmate I ever had of people I dated. But he brought me this deck, and I looked through it, and he said, "Well, read the cards, read the cards." And I said, "No, Lee, I have to get to know a deck, and yada da da da, all this bullshit lie, because I'm gonna read that deck."
Mhm.
And finally, I told him I couldn't read the deck, but I had a woman friend who showed up who just fell in love with it, and uh, so she ran off with the deck. I said, "Sure, please."
Take it.
Hey,
Right. Yeah. Uh,
the further adventures of her was she got busted with black tar heroin about 10 years later. I mean, I'm telling you guys, and I know there are people who are big Crowley fans and they think he's wonderful, and you can think he's wonderful. Everything I've ever touched or read or been around about that man's been the darkest of the dark.
yeah, that's interesting. There's a gentleman that reads the Crowley deck, Dove and Serpent Tarot. His name is Paul. Dove and Serpent Tarot. And I listen to him. I don't look at him when he's reading. I'll listen to him while I'm, at the sink,
Mhm.
and he'll say, what the card, and I'll know what card I translated to the,
Oh yeah, you see it to the deck, you know.
yeah, I translated to the Rider Waite, but there is a gentleness about him, that I like, and an intelligence about him that I like. But as far as the cards go, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna buy one of those decks and I'm gonna read along with him, and then I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Not necessary. No, you're not.
When Nancy, we got one more question after this, but Nancy, when I taught her tarot, I make everybody use a Rider Waite deck.
Yes.
Everybody in the class
Right.
has to use the standard Rider Waite deck, because the first time I ever taught a tarot class, I made the mistake of letting people bring their own decks.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some decks out there that I swear,
Yeah.
you can't translate them. And one woman, I finally said, here's a little, I give each person a little pocket, right, a little teeny tiny Rider Waite deck as part of the class, because it puts us all, we're all looking at the same symbols and the same shapes, the same forms, and it kind of gives us a common frame of reference. Just imagine if I said, we're going to read Shakespeare, but you're going to read it in Chinese and you're going to read it in Japanese, and
Right. Yeah.
not going to happen.
Same story, but doesn't translate.
No.
Right.
And if you really like Aleister Crowley, don't send me notes. I don't.
Yeah. Right. And
That I think I knew him. I really think I knew him, and I
maybe.
was near that mess.
Yeah. Pamela Coleman Smith, shout out to her for the beautiful images on the and insightful images on
Right.
the Rider Waite deck.
Yeah, she's fascinating. I did a show on her. I should resurrect that show, because she was really so well trained in images. And all she ever got paid was for the first draft she did of those cards. For all the bazillions of those cards have been sold.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
Last question?
Now we get to the last question for you.
All right.
This is the easy one. What's the biggest lesson you've learned in your psychic journey?
Biggest lesson. I spend a lot of time with the Course in Miracles, and I got to say, this isn't real. This earth plane that we're on, this little it's like going to Disneyland. When you go to Disneyland, you have your experience. You either love it, or it's like, man, or it's like, that's the greatest place on earth, happiest place on earth, or what a waste that was. You make of your life what you're going to make of your life. And this is like a trip to Disneyland for spirit. But at the end of your time, you're going home. We're not planted on this earth to stay here. We're all going back home to spirit. That is, for me, the biggest lesson, and the most important lesson is, I'm just traveling here. I'm representing the divine, and I'm creating through the divine, and I create, and I send that creation up to God, up to heaven, and creator sends more energy down me, and it's like we're sourcing the source. We're sourcing the source. And that's the greatest lesson. And that makes me feel connected. That makes me have that unity feeling of being connected to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there are things that you don't want to be connected to, and that's when you need Archangel Michael.
That's right.
So, yeah, it's been a journey.
Well, we're sent with tools to be able to take care of ourselves. I mean, to have, we don't take care of ourselves. We ask for the help to take care of ourselves.
Right. We are. And when you ask for help, help comes. And I know, been there, done that. Yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah, someone loves the way you look at your life, Nancy.
Oh.
And I do too. It's one reason why I asked her to be here. And for my own end, I will tell you, I will be, this is it. I'll be reading live tomorrow and Saturday. And
wish I could be there.
I know. I wish you could too. But tell me, there's room for one table. I went in to drop off the flyer, and she has a store manager I really like. And the woman and I walked around, and she's rearranged the booze again. So we had to figure out where to stick me. and that was interesting. But I'm carrying in my little mist bottle of Palo Santo spray. I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
Palo Santo out all around where I'm reading,
Mhm.
because her stuff is full of vintage articles. And if you're one of those people that gets affected by vintage articles, remember that that's going to be there. And then I've got Scott on Sunday again. And I cannot tell you how excited I am that you came
Oh, thank you.
today
I'm
and
delighted to
decided to
be here.
visit with us. And I hope people will go take a gander at her channel, go subscribe.
Yes, please do. And I'll be putting up a post talking about the wheel of, the Celtic timing of the year,
Oh, yeah.
and talking about the Halloween season. So
Yes.
so I'm going to go ahead now and finish up my research,
Yes.
make some pumpkin bread, and get into the mood.
Okay. Well, everybody, thank you all for coming here, and thank Nancy for being here, and thank you for your
Thank
questions and comments. And I will be doing questions again um, next
Tuesday.
Tuesday. So, okay. Bye bye.
All right. Thanks. Bye bye.